Mongryeon starts by telling Yise that the three spirits do not seem to hate him after the consolation ceremony. Yise is relieved, but he is still crushed by guilt, and Mongryeon pushes back when Yise starts talking like he deserves to be hated forever. Mongryeon says, "They don't hate you." Yise admits the people in Subu village who raised him were adoptive parents, not his birth family, and he knows almost nothing about where he came from. His earliest memory is collapsing in the rain, being found by a scholar, and later being adopted by people who treated him like their own child. Yise says, "I don't know anything about where I was born." Yise says revenge became his reason for living after demons massacred his family, but Mongryeon refuses to let that pain stay trapped in the same loop. He reframes the dead as people who leave behind a last wish, and tells Yise the way to repay them is to live well enough to fulfill it. Mongryeon says, "Why not fulfill the last wish they left behind?" Mongryeon explains that a last wish is simply what the dead could not finish in life, and for Yise that means growing up without shame. Yise finally understands that he can still do something for his parents and younger sibling by becoming the kind of adult they would have wanted. Mongryeon says, "If you grow up well, they can go in peace." Mongryeon broadens the lesson and reminds Yise that it applies to Gojil, Woljang, and Surguichin too. Yise answers by saying he wants to examine demons and keep the dead's wishes alive, which is the first time he sounds like he has chosen a real path instead of just carrying grief. Yise says, "I will fulfill the wishes they left behind." Mongryeon admits he only wanted Yise to grow up like a normal child and not turn every memory into another burden. He asks Yise's age, hears that he is 11, and lays out the next milestone: wait until 16, then take Dimudo's entrance exam. Mongryeon says, "I wanted you to grow up like a normal child." Yise already knows enough about Dimudo to ask whether someone like him would even be allowed to join. Mongryeon explains cultivation, immortals, and Dimudo's demon exorcising spirit arts, making the sect sound like the place where Yise can actually learn how to hunt demons the right way. Mongryeon says, Dimudo is the finest demon hunting organization. Mongryeon tells Yise that Dimudo can teach him everything he wants, and maybe even help him figure out whether he is truly a monster. He follows that up with the hard question of whether Yise would still feel like one among cultivators, which hits the exact fear Yise has been hiding. Mongryeon says, "Will you still feel like a monster?" Yise accepts that he will leave at 16 to take the entrance exam, and Mongryeon approves. He says he will go finish exterminating the remaining demons first, then come back to begin conditioning Yise's body for Dimudo, while also warning that the dead's wishes can be misunderstood if people are careless. Mongryeon says, "When I return, we'll begin conditioning your body." The chapter briefly pulls back from the conversation to frame the wider world around Yise and Dimudo. It reminds you that cultivation is a real system with its own history, and that demon extermination sits at the center of the path Yise is about to enter. The focus shifts to Woljang lying low after the child ghost incident, and Yise comes to check on him. Gojil blames himself for suggesting the hunt, and Woljang finally says the whole thing happened because of him, which spreads the guilt across everyone in the room. Woljang says, "It's all because of me." Woljang spirals hard and says he might as well die too, so Yise pushes into the room and answers him honestly. He apologizes for attacking Woljang and Gojil, then admits that when he faced a demon, all he could think about was exterminating it, even if that made him look like a monster. Yise says, "I live to exterminate demons." That confession gives Yise a different reason to keep living, because he wants to accomplish what the dead could not. He promises to become an adult who can care for children like Surguichin did, and to become the greatest demon hunter for Woljang, who always dreamed of that path. Yise says, "I've found another reason to keep living." Yise finally tries something gentler and asks Ilchui if he can come in and talk, because he wants to become friends instead of staying outside. He even apologizes for the hole in the window, which makes this feel like the first time he is choosing connection on purpose. Yise says, "I want to become friends with you, Ilchui." The chapter keeps moving through the group's aftermath, showing everyone still trying to settle after all that emotional talk. Then it lands on a painful image of a dark-haired young man holding a crying purple-haired girl against his chest, which reminds you that the damage is still very real. More of the temple's cast starts appearing outside, including 3 masked figures in dark cloaks and a black-haired child nearby. The scene also cuts to another dark-clad figure with a raised fist, giving the whole area a guarded, watchful feeling. The story slows down in a quieter room lined with bookshelves, where Woljang is still lying down and someone stays close with a book nearby. It is a small breather, but it keeps the focus on how badly these people are leaning on each other now. This stretch is mostly a visual cooldown, moving through partial character shots and then into a calm autumn scene with maple leaves. It feels like the chapter resetting before the next round of motion, not actually letting go of the tension. The calm gives way to winter imagery, then to a bigger outdoor scene where cloaked people are moving around in the snow. The motion makes it clear that another confrontation or mission is already lining up. The quiet breaks with a fast indoor clash, where a purple-haired elf-like woman is caught in the middle of the fight as slash marks and impact streaks fill the room. The chapter then cuts back outside to snow and a small black-haired child by a wooden wall, keeping the danger alive on both sides of the temple. After the fight, the story cools down again into whetstone, rain, and a quiet wooden window. It reads like a breath between bursts of action, but the mood stays heavy because this world never really lets its characters rest for long. The temple itself gets a softer look, with notes pinned to the wall, pink blossoms outside, and then a kitchen with pots on the stove. That mix of everyday spaces and demon hunting business makes the setting feel lived in instead of purely dangerous. The pace jumps back into close, awkward movement around the building, with a purple-haired figure and a black-clad figure pressing together before the scene shifts into footsteps, food, and a startled reaction outside. It feels like everyone is bumping back into each other after all the emotional damage. Gong-ah says, "Ah." The ending gives Gong-ah a bright, cheerful close-up, then lets her immediately complain that someone should have said something when they arrived. Yise ends the chapter facing another person in white as petals drift through the air, which leaves him right in the middle of the relationships he has been trying to build. Gong-ah says, "You should have said something when you got here." So the chapter's real turn is simple: Yise stops treating his life like punishment and starts choosing a future. Mongryeon gives him Demudo, the others keep carrying their own guilt, and Yise ends by reaching for friendship instead of isolation.